Have you ever pondered on the true meaning of faith? Let's plunge into Isaiah 55, holding relevance for the Israelites of old, but also for modern-day believers. The prophet begins by guiding the people of Israel to recall God's grace and promises. He then reminds them to remember God's teachings, to rely on God's strength, and to recognize that God is a God of comfort. While he may punish, his salvation never extinguishes. A standout verse, verse 6, eloquently states, "Lift up your eyes to the heavens, look at the earth beneath. The heavens will vanish like smoke. The earth will wear out like a garment, and its inhabitants die like flies. But my salvation will last forever. My righteousness will never fail." What lesson can we draw from this? It speaks to the perspective a believer in God should have. Regarding God's salvation, one should look up in faith. God has made it clear that the heavens and earth may change, may vanish, but his path to salvation is everlasting. This is a reminder not to let our eyes be fooled by earthly circumstances, but to see through the transience of the world, to lift our eyes to the heavens, to hope for the eternal, unchanging promise of salvation from above. Indeed, one's perspective is critical. It's said that your perspective determines your boundary, and your framework determines your outcome. A person's understanding of the world can significantly influence how far their life journey can reach. Zhuangzi, a philosopher and literary figure from the Warring States period, wrote in his work, Wandering Beyond, "Those who venture into the wilderness return after only 3 meals, their bellies still full. Those who travel 100 miles spend the night preparing their food. Those who go 1,000 miles spend 3 months gathering supplies." How far a person travels depends on how high their perspective is and how big their plan is. The same goes for Christian faith. Through God's words, the prophet Isaiah reminds us to set our sights on the heavens, not to be constantly calculating gains and losses in front of us. For a person in the Christian faith, their perspective and framework are particularly important, because this faith is not by sight, but by having the mind of Christ, seeing the world through his eyes. Then many problems in life can be solved. As the Apostle Paul said, "For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all." So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen, since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. 2 Corinthians 4:17, 18. We've learned about the importance of perspective in faith, about relying on God's eternal salvation, and about not being consumed by earthly matters. Remember, our faith is not by sight, but by having the mind of Christ, seeing the world through his eyes. This can guide us through many of life's challenges and onto a path of everlasting salvation.